Alright, hello everyone, this is Blizzard, and welcome to my week 1 matchup for the Olympian Draft League. I forgot to record, which is pretty unfortunate. Means I have to do kind of a post-commentary style, but it also means I can do a little bit more in-depth analysis, break down kind of the damage rolls that might have affected things and stuff like that, so trade-offs, with everything. So, without further ado, let's kind of get into the matchup and my thought process coming into this. I wasn't running too crazy. I just wanted to become a little bit more familiar with my team, especially against such like a weird team. In my opinion, I feel like his team doesn't have necessarily an idea of like what it wants to do, just like a bunch of really strong Pokemon. And it means it's still scary, right? I mean, you have a pretty strong combo of Gholdengo and Berserker with the Make It Rain getting a literal choice specs boost from being next to Berserker. You have 2 Fake Out Mons and Blastoise and Passimian. You have an Intimidate Mon and a Defiant Mon. You have a Mon that's incredibly fast and can basically Terra at will with the Protein ability on Meowscarada. And just a good team overall. Very good stats too. My team is a little bit more unorthodox in the sense of like I have some Pokemon that aren't as straightforward. Ursaluna is pretty straightforward in a lot of ways, but it can run a lot of sets, which makes it more interesting. Porygon in this matchup I thought was great because of the Terra Ghost Terra Blast I'm running on it, and that meant that I could hit Gholdengo for super effective, do quite a bit of damage to it. Ice Beam is great for Meowscarada and Salamence, and yeah, like it's very bulky with the Eviolite. I can recover, get back some HP. It's a good Trick Room setter, a lot going for it. Sinistcha, also a great Trick Room setter in this matchup, and with the Terra Fire, it kind of means it should almost always be able to set up Trick Room pretty easily, which helps my team out a lot. Tauros, if I want to run Tailwind mode, it is quite a bit faster than most of his team, besides maybe the Meowscarada and maybe the Salamence, I believe. Though, looking at Salamence, I think actually at worst it's a speed tie. And then Volbeat is a great support mon, can set Tailwind, can use Light Screen to weaken his special attackers, which he has probably 3 if the Salamence is special. Then Struggle Bug also to kind of weaken the special attackers, and the name of the game is shutting down Gholdengo, right? And so it's just a good Pokemon overall for that. And then Samurott, very powerful mon, running a Focus Energy set this week, which pairs nicely with Aqua Cutter and Night Slash, which both have a +1 crit ratio, and combined with Focus Energy, that means I always crit. So I'm immune to his Intimidate pretty much because crits don't affect those stat changes, and I can OHKO his entire team once I get set up. So that's really nice. And yeah, I think all the Terra types are kind of like defensive. They make sense. Terra Ghost on Volbeat is great too because I'm running Covert Cloak. So there's a little bit of a mind game in the sense that you wouldn't usually run both Covert Cloak and Terra Ghost. You might run Terra Ghost to be immune to Fake Out, right? But if you have the Covert Cloak, you probably are better off running some other defensive defensive Terra type, because you don't need to be immune to Fake Out. You already are with the Covert Cloak, right? But there's a little bit of an extra layer if you have both, because your opponent might assume that well, he's running Terra Ghost, he might not have Fake Out. I should click it into him because I doubt he clicks Terra turn 1, right? Or maybe he uses Shadow Ball and Fake Out just to cover for both options. But I'm Covert Cloak, in fact, so I can safely not Terra, and should work out for me, hopefully. So turn 1, I lead my Volbeat and Sinistcha, and he leads his Passimian and Blastoise. So this lead is like theoretically scary because of Knockoff and Ice Beam doing a lot of damage, but with Light Screen on Volbeat, I cover for it. Ideally, I could run Reflect on Volbeat to deal with the Knockoff, which does more damage, but Volbeat doesn't get Reflect, so I can't run it actually. Instead of going for Light Screen Trick Room here, which is what I go for, it would have been a little safer to go for Light Screen and Terra Fire on Sinistra, just because, like, there's no way he clicks Muddy Water on Blastoise turn 1, right? But even if he does, it does 51 to 61%, right? But with Light Screen up, it only does 34 to 41%. So that's not really that bad. And Knockoff does 33 to 39. So I'm guaranteed to live that and get up Trick Room. Theoretically, he could predict my Terra and Close Combat and Muddy Water. But if I don't Terra, then it does 8 to 10%. So it's a very, very bad turn for him if I don't Terra. So realistically, and he almost would never go for that crazy of a play turn 1. So realistically, Terraing here is a very safe way to get up Trick Room. And I have Ursaluna and Blood Moon in the back, so switching out Sinish is never the answer, right? Clicking Terra is maybe a solid option. Switching out is not, because like, it wouldn't be even bad necessarily if I had Tauros or Samurott, but switching in Ursaluna or P2 just puts me on the back foot immediately, because first of all, neither of them want to lose their item, especially Porygon, and if he Ice Beams or Muddy Waters, then I lose a lot of health on Ursaluna. So it's just a really bad play to switch out here. However, then the play I end up going for is Light Screen Volbeat and Trick Room Sinistra, which actually works out because you can see that he goes for Fake Out here, which is really nice. I get up my Light Screen, and because I have my Cover Cloak, I can get up that. And then he goes for Knockoff, which is 79% max into my Sinistra, except he crits. So it's brutal. I die because of the crit, and I go from, without a crit, it does 67 to 79%, but with a crit, it has 101 to 119%. So it goes from I'm guaranteed live to a guaranteed kill. But you know, that's just how Pokemon goes. And you'll see later kind of how my luck swings back in my favor a little bit in like later down the set. Though it is a pretty rough start for me with game 1. Also, keep in mind that in order to kill, he needed to be max attack, adamant, choice band, and crit his knockoff. Without any of those things, I would have lived. So this also tells me that choice band, it is choice band Passimian, but I would not have expected him to run all of those things and crit. Obviously, I wouldn't anticipate the crit. So theoretically, this would have been a good play for me because I would have conserved for my Terra, right? The alternative is I Terra and live anyways, but regardless of the crit. But I think it would have been theoretically better, right, if he didn't crit, to just have that Terra conserved for specifically Porygon. But it is what it is. And yeah, because Sinistra dies, I can't really do anything here. It reveals my Metal Herb as well, so I'm kind of forced to go into Porygon, because I can bring up Porygon or Ursaluna, and I figure the best way for me to win here is to set up Trick Room, so I end up going into Porygon. And actually, I'm running Trace on Porygon, so I traced the Defiant on Passimian, which is pretty funny. And this turn, there's kind of a lot I could do here. I tried a few things, but I think my best move is pretty straightforward, because I easily live a Banded Knockoff into Porygon, even though it gets rid of my Eviolite, which is pretty annoying. But Porygon should always go for Trick Room, right? It's also like very good for him to go for Knockoff, like, because if I Terra Ghost, right, that's super effective. Even without it, it gets rid of my Eviolite, which is really big for him. So I doubt he's gonna go for Close Combat. And also, I know he can't go for Close Combat because he's Choice Band. So, I also, one note on Volbeat is I have a Struggle Bug, which would be theoretically good on the Blastoise, but because he's Defiant, I don't go for it. And I'm not really sure what Blastoise wants to do, actually. So I decided to go for Encore to try and force him into that Fake Out. But as you can see, he switches out here. Actually activates the Defiant boost on Porygon, which is hilarious. But I go for Encore and it fails. Because he switches out. I'm not sure if he predicted the Encore or if he just thought Blastoise wasn't in a great position here, because he kind of wasn't. But he said to switch out, and Volbeat pretty much wastes his turn, right, going for a failed Encore. But it's not a huge deal here, because like I could have switched out Volbeat into Ursaluna, but if he had gone for something like a Water Spout on Blastoise or a Muddy Water, then it would have been just so much worse for me. So it's not that bad of a play. And he does go for knockoff. It does third of my health, and I lose my Eviolite, but I get up Trick Room, which is really nice. And because I'm able to get up Trick Room, Volbeat has no good moves because I can. Light Screen's already up, right? Encore is useless into a Choice Banded Mon and a Mon that just switched in. And Struggle Bug doubles Passimian's attack, and I also have Tailwind on this thing, but clicking Tailwind in Trick Room is like the worst idea ever. So I'm pretty much forced to switch into Blood Moon here. And then I also decide to Terra Ghost, Terra Blast into Passimian here. Because it does over half, theoretically, and does meaningful damage to any of his switch-ins, especially Goldango, and except Meowscarada. But he's not likely to switch in Meowscarada anyways, because it's such a fast Mon and Trick Room is up. But as you can see here, I switch in Ursaluna, go for the Terra Blast, Terra Ghost, and I anticipate a Protect or a Terra on Salamence, but he doesn't go for it. Meaning Ice Beam would have been a free kill. I wouldn't have had to Terra, it would have been great. But I assumed he just wouldn't let Salamence go down like that, so I didn't click it. And that's another thing that is a recurring theme throughout this set. It's just I have free Ice Beams into Salamence, and I just never click it. It's pretty brutal. But I click Terra Blast. It does a little bit over half, and Hurricane only does 30%, because it also lets me know that he's a special attacking Salamence, which is really cool. Because that's a less traditional set for it. It has 110 special attack, which is pretty solid, but it's 135 attack stat. It means it's almost always a physical attacker. But it's not like that great of a turn for me just because he gets the confusion, which is really annoying. First of all, Hurricane's only a 70% hit chance, but on top of that, he gets the 30% confusion chance. So, pretty annoying. And on top of that, you can see crits knockoff on Ursaluna, which is really annoying, and gets rid of my AV, meaning I now died to an extremely high roll or a crit from Draco Meteor on Salamence, theoretically. So that's really annoying for Ursaluna. He was in a pretty good spot switching in here, theoretically, but now he's not. So here I'm hoping to get off some guaranteed damage with Hyper Voice on Ursaluna, which would pick up the kill on Passimian if he stayed in, do just under half to Mince. But as you can see, he ends up protecting himself, and Blastoise comes in and takes 29%, which isn't too bad at all. But it also lets me know that he's running specifically like a pretty bulky set, because just a especially bulky set, because most Blastoise sets would take more damage than this. And because he protects and switches, he's not doing any damage here actually, which works out great for me because I'm able to recover on Porygon. A lot of my health put me back at 80%, but instead I hit myself in Confusion. So overall, this turn would have been great for me if I hadn't gotten the 1 in 3 full Confusion chance, but it is what it is. And because Blastoise switched in, it's almost definitely going for a Fake Out in Ursaluna, because he knows that I'm AV and therefore I'm not running Protect. He's obviously not going into PTO because I'm a Ghost type, right? So he's almost always going into Ursaluna. But switching into Volbeat here isn't great because I have 2 turns left of Trick Room. It also wouldn't be like a bad play necessarily because I can conserve Ursa, but I decided to just stay in anyways, because I don't want to bring out Volbeat just yet. It can't really do much just yet. And once again, I realistically should have gone for Ice Beam into Salamence because he just protected, right? He could theoretically switch, but he didn't, right? And I thought maybe he would Terra Water here just to keep it safe, because like there's surely no way he just lets a Mon 4 times weak to Ice in front of a Mon that knows Ice Beam, but he does in fact do that. So I just go for a cover, which is a pretty safe play. I wasn't able to get my health back up last turn, so I go for that. It goes back down to 30 though, which is quite annoying because I kind of lose the health that I gained back. Here, turn 6 now is where I should have switched into Volbeat on Ursaluna. I could have set back up Light Screen, and I could have I could have set myself up for when Trick Room ends the next turn. But because I keep in Ursa, it like guarantees that he's going to probably double. Because I kept in Ursa like last turn, it means that he's probably going to double protect this turn. He wants to stall out the last turn of Trick Room the best he can, and but the best way to do that is going for a double protect here. So that means I'm free to get a recover off on my Porygon, which is really nice. I'm able to get back to 80. I waste my Blood Moon here, which is pretty annoying. I should have just gone for Hyper Voice, but it is what it is. And at this point, I definitely don't want to keep in Ursa just because Muddy Water is a possibility. And switching for Full Beat allows me to go for Light Screen to help deal with those two special attackers on the field. He could have also easily gone for like a double up into Porygon 2, but if he had missed Muddy Water, or if I had Hyper Voiced with Ursa and killed, then he would have been in a much worse spot. And the only way he kills is if he hits Draco, goes for Draco and Muddy Water, and they both hit, and they're not both perfectly accurate. And I basically figured he wouldn't double Porygon here, so I go for Trick Room here, which actually pays off big time, because you can see that he goes for Muddy Water, and it does leaves Porygon at just under half, even though it crits, which is another kind of stroke of bad luck for me. I've been crit 3 times, I think, so far. But I get up Trick Room, which puts me in a pretty good spot, actually, even though he has his whole team left and I am a little bit worse for wear. I have a Mon at half health, another Mon just over half health, and neither of us that can recover, and one Mon at 42 that can recover, versus his team, which is at full health, another Mon in the back at full health that I don't even know, and then one Mon at 3/4 health and one Mon at half health. He seems like he would be in a better position here, but because I have Trick Room up, it's definitely not that bad of a spot for me. And this turn it's pretty obvious what I should do. I should just go for Light Screen and Terra Blast into Passimian. I know he's not running Protect because he's Choice Band, right? And so even if he theoretically switches out Passimian, I know that I'm going to be able to attack into that slot guaranteed, so I should go for that. And that's exactly what I go for. I set up Light Screen, and I pick up the kill on Passimian, which is really nice, because that thing is so annoying. And he goes for Muddy Water, which it gets an accuracy drop, which is really annoying on Porygon. I mean, it's kind of good and bad news for both of us, because on one hand, all my attacks are now 75% accurate, which really sucks. But on the other hand, because I'm Defiant, I'm now at 2.5 times attack, and actually, with Terra Blast, once you've Terra'd, it uses the higher attacking stat between physical and special, meaning I can do actually more damage with my Terra Blast because my attack is higher. I'm using now my attack stat instead of special attack in the calculation, though it's probably worse for me just because if I miss one move with Porygon, I could just lose the game on the spot, depending on what it is. Now he sends out Salamence, which boosts that attack even more, right? And it lets me know that theoretically his last Mon should be Meowscarada or Golden Go, because they're both significantly better out of Trick Room. He would have sent in Berserker if he could have, which it makes sense they didn't bring Berserker without Golden Go. But he's probably going to try and stall to so that whichever Mon it is can sweep once Trick Room ends. I think that's probably the best course of action for him. But here I can go for a cover just to make sure I get my health back, and then he actually misses both of his Muddy Waters, which is crazy because finally it's some bad luck for him. But I'm pretty safely able to go for a Struggle Bug with Passimian out of the way and weaken his 2 special attackers, and thankfully he misses a Hurricane as well, so it's just bad luck after bad luck for him, which is really nice for me because I couldn't get to break the first half of this battle. And it means that Porygon ends the turn at 75 still, which means I can attack instead of having to go for another recover. So in this situation, I think to myself, yet again, surely, like, there's no way he doesn't protect or Terra his Salamence in front of Porygon 2, because I have Ice Beam, right? Like, there's no way. but lo and behold, he does not. He goes for Helping Hand into it. So I stupidly Terra Blast the Blastoise, which doesn't even kill. I should have known it didn't kill because I already knew he was especially bulky. And he's actually more especially bulky than I thought, but it also procs the Citrus Barrier, which is really annoying. Because theoretically, I could have killed him too, because I'm go for Struggle Bug. It would have maybe killed, depending on the roll. But it's very, very unfortunate for me that doesn't end up happening. And he goes for a Helping Hand Hurricane, but his bad luck continues as he misses yet again. Actually, I'm in light screen and he's -2 special attack, but with the Helping Hand boost, he still would have killed Volbeat, which is kind of crazy. But so it works out very well for me that he misses. And now we, at this point, you can see that we have 1 turn left of Trick Room, so he's almost guaranteed to be double protecting here. So I just go for a recover and get back my health. Ideally, I could have time to switch out Porygon to get rid of that accuracy drop, but his 3 times attack could work out for me theoretically. And I want to keep it on the field because it can set up a guaranteed Trick Room, which is really nice because he's at full health, he can guaranteed live. So as Trick Room goes down, he switches back out to Meowscarada. I go for the Encore here, and this is a pretty poor play. So I figure that if he has Golden Go in the back, he's likely to switch out Salamence because it would punish an Ice Beam into that slot because Golden Go resists while Salamence is 4 times weak. And it's unlikely I go for an Ice Beam into Water type. Like I'm not gonna, if Blastoise does stay in, right? If he has Meowscarada in the back, he's gonna switch out the Blastoise because I'm not gonna Ice Beam into it. But I should theoretically always go for Trick Room on Porygon here and just take a guess with Encore into either Blastoise or Salamence because they both like Protect. But I go for Encore into Blastoise. I mean, I also make which like it's not that bad necessarily. I just read it wrong. But I also go for a huge mistake here because I go for he misses Hurricane, which is nice. But I go for Terra Blast into Salamence. So setting up Trick Room here would have been so good for me. It would have meant that I should be able to win like guaranteed. But instead I don't, and I don't even Ice Beam to kill Salamence. So not only do I not have Trick Room up, I also am like not in a position where it's a 2v3. It's just kind of bad in a lot of ways, but because he wastes his turn on both theoretically because he just switches and misses Hurricane. I'm not in that bad of a spot actually. If he had hit the Hurricane, Volbeat would have been at 10%, and that would have been significantly worse. I would have died to Fake Out maybe, but we're not in that bad of a situation because I'm at full health still. Light Screen wears off, so I just set it right back up. Knockoff does a lot, right? But he Hurricanes into the Volbeat slot, and I live, and I'm able to set up Trick Room now. So that's really nice. I knew I was going to be able to set up Trick Room on the Porygon, and things are actually looking really good for me, despite the powerful knockoff from Meowscarada and for my failure to set up Trick Room the turn before. I'm in a pretty good spot now, and now that I have Trick Room up, I just click Recover on Porygon to get his health back, and I let Volbeat get off 1 more Struggle Bug before dying, just for a little bit of chip into Meowscarada to break Sash if he has it, and to lower Salamance's attack once again. And I actually want Volbeat to go down here, even though it's bad for differential. It means I can switch in the Ursa Luna. You can also see that I heal back 50% and I take 64%, so that could be bad for me. But I just want to keep Porygon alive this turn pretty much, so that I should have a guaranteed win. I can very safely just go for Hyper Voice on Ursa Luna here and Terra Blast into Meowscarada to win. Instead he switches and protects, which just kind of delays the inevitable. But I'm able to kill Blastoise, and then he turns 16, he just sends out Meowscarada, and I go for the same exact play, and I'm able to clean it up with a pretty nice 2-0 win, because even though my accuracy was dropped, that was kind of the only problem. I think Ursa Luna was still in a pretty good spot, and so theoretically I would have had to miss several attacks in a row. So Yeah, turn 1 was a little shaky for me. The crit really messed up my turn 1 game plan. I think it would have been a little smoother without that. Maybe it would have been a little smoother if I had gotten up Trick Room on the right turn. But he also had a lot of bad luck on his side. I think his Hurricane misses were probably more brutal than the crit for me, because I played pretty much the entire game in a 3v4 anyways, and so it was pretty bad. A few notes before we move on to game 2 on what I revealed and concealed throughout game 1. I revealed all my items, which was a little unfortunate. I revealed AV, EVLite, Mental Herb, and Covert Cloak. Covert Cloak was the only one not revealed through knockoff. That was because of Blastoise's fake out. But I revealed Volbeat's entire set pretty much, besides Tailwind. I also crucially never revealed the Ice Beam on Porygon. And there were several moments where I could have clicked it for a big OKO and didn't. So maybe he assumes I'm not running it. That would be probably best case scenario. Ursa Luna never revealed two of his moves, but one of them is almost definitely Earth Power. And because I'm AV, the last one's either Snarl or maybe Moonblast, but most likely Vacuum Wave out of those three options, because it's super effective in the Golden Go as well, and that's in fact what the fourth move is. And then Sinister actually never got a chance to move. It's kind of funny. It means I won a 3v4 pretty much. But he can assume I'm running Machagacha and Trick Room, right? Because I'm a Trick Room team, and Machagacha is his best move. But he doesn't know whether I'm running like Protect or Shadow Ball, which is good in the Golden Go. Life Dew is good for healing. Rage Powder, Iron Defense, Strength Sap. Sinister has so many options that not revealing any of his moves is pretty good here. And then my opponent revealed a few things. I learned quite a bit about Blastoise. Like, I learned that all his entire moveset, his item, and that he's pretty specially bulky. I only really saw him attack a handful of times. Some of them were crits, so it's like I didn't see his damage as much. But I learned almost everything about him. And I learned the hard way that it's Choice Band, Passimian with Knockoff. Other than that, I learned that it's special attacking Salamence with Protect. And then also, Meowscarada is probably not running Protect. I feel like he would have clicked it towards the end of the game, but maybe he just knew it was lost and didn't want to reveal information, so it's hard to say. But yeah, let's move on to game 2, where I changed things up a little bit. So you can see immediately with my lead, I wanted to catch him off guard by bringing my Tailwind mode. So I thought that it would probably work because I went very hard into Trick Room game 1. I actually clicked it 3 separate times game 1. So I brought Volbeat for Tailwind, obviously. And Tauros was hopefully to get off a big hit on either Meowscarada, Berserker, or Golden Go, and he actually brought 2 of those 3. So it feels like a pretty good lead for me. However, as you can see here, I forgot to consider Fake Out on Berserker. So immediately Tauros can't move, and he's able to, I set up Light Screen, which is nice, but he goes for a big Make It Rain, and that does a lot of damage. Without that Light Screen would have killed. So Volbeat's great for Tailwind, but I actually don't need to, as you saw, I didn't go for Tailwind because I didn't really need to. Both of my Pokemon are faster in the situation than both of his, so the longer I can delay Tailwind, the better, because it means I can have it up for longer, right? And it actually helps Volbeat take the Make It Rain. He wouldn't normally, because it pretty much cancels out the Steely Spirit boost from Berserker, because Volbeat, or Light Screen is a 1.5 times Split F boost, and Berserker gives its partner's Steel-type moves a 1.5 times boost, which is very strong. And unfortunately, you can see that Tauros resists it and still loses over half his health, and Volbeat loses a whopping 3/4 of his health. So after getting off a pretty big Make It Rain and having its special attack lowered, I doubt Golden Go wants to stay in here. And if it does, it's almost definitely going to Protect. So I go for a Will-O-Wisp into Berserker, which actually works out for me. And I go for Struggle Bug because if Golden Go stays in, it kind of covers for that play and means that Tauros could definitely easily live. However, I forgot about the possibility of him switching in past Simeon. So as you'll see here, he gets a free attack boost, and that's really bad for me. Also, he has 2 physical attackers with their special attack dropped, which doesn't really do anything. And because of the burn, I'm actually able to have Volbeat survive, which is really nice. It puts me in a much better spot because I'm able to get that tailwind up, actually. Also, at this point, Berserker is pretty much neutralized, so I can expect it to either switch out or like to use some kind of status move, maybe, or probably to go for the kill into Volbeat. I could definitely Raging Bull into the Berserker in anticipation of like a Gholdengo switch in, but here it kind of makes more sense for me to allow it to attack and either barely do it any damage, give me a free switch in, or for him to switch out, which she actually ends up doing, as you'll see here. And after delaying Tailwind for 2 turns, I finally go for it. And Tauros is able to do well over half of Passimian's health, which is really nice. And he U-turns out and picks up the kill on Volbeat and sends out Berserker. But that means that Samurot's actually in a great spot to come in here because we have 2 turns left to Light Screen 2 turns left to Light Screen and 3 turns left to Tailwind. But he also fake outs into Samurott, which is a little surprising because Tauros almost is able to OHKO Gholdengo. It probably assumed that Samurott would be able to OHKO Gholdengo for whatever reason, or with like Choice Band or maybe some like Life Orb, something like that. He'd be able to pick up the kill. So it's not unreasonable, but it means that Gholdengo gets down to only 15%. However, Gholdengo lives and he's able to rip a big Make It Rain, picks up the kill on Tauros, and gets me just above half health. At this point, Porygon comes out, and fun fact about Trace, it copies an opponent's a random opponent's ability. So I could have copied Good as Gold, but instead I copy Steely Spirit, which does nothing for me. So that's fun. And now that it's I believe turn 5, yes, things are looking a little bit bleak. It's not unwinnable. Porygon is still at full health. Samurot's above half. While he has 2 very low Pokemon in Passimian and Gholdengo, and his Berserker's burned. But in this situation, it's not looking great because it is a 2v4 still. So I have to make some reads. At this point, I'm expecting Gholdengo to like maybe protect, but probably a switch. And then probably a knockoff from Berserker. I don't really know what from it. So I want to be able to kill Gholdengo. The only way for me to do that while making sure I kill Berserker with my Sacred Sword is to go for Terra Ghost, Terra Blast, and he protects, which is really unfortunate. I go for Sacred Sword, pick up the kill, which is really nice, but Terra Blast comes out, and Gholdengo is able to live, and Light Screen goes down. So I have one more turn to Tailwind, but it means that that play meant that I could have gone for something like a Focus Energy on Samurott. Instead, that was hard to say whether or not Porygon would have picked up the kill on Berserker. Overall, I could have just maybe like set up Berserker. I could have put myself in a maybe slightly better position. But somewhat unsurprisingly, Meowscarada comes out here, and it's a very automatic target for Samurott because I have Sacred Sword. I've already revealed that, and he sent out a Dark type, so very easy for me to click Sacred Sword into it. However, there's one note. If I scroll up real quick, you'll see that he's Terra Fairy on his Meowscarada, which means he could very easily click Terra Fairy here, and then he's probably trying to bait out a Sacred Sword. If he Terra Fairies here, then all of a sudden I'm in a terrible spot. Gholdengo almost definitely outspeeds Porygon and is able to maybe not kill Samurott if he wants to, but he could probably Shadow Ball into Porygon, put himself in a great spot here. And Meowscarada, not to mention Meowscarada lives and is able to pick up the kill. So he would win the game on the spot if I go for that. And so in this situation, I believe the correct move is always to go for Trick Room on Porygon and then just Aqua Cutter into Gholdengo, because it'll either kill or it'll kill the Passimian on switching. The Meowscarada could very easily be sashed, so I don't necessarily want to go for it or like read the Terra anyways. But no matter what, Porygon is going to be able to survive and set up Trick Room. At that point, it's not like a guaranteed win, and not even close to a guaranteed win actually, because he might have Sucker Punch on Meowscarada, which would really complicate things. He has Make It Rain, which hits both on Ghold and Go, and it adds a lot of complications to things, because if he is able to kill Samurott, then I could very easily just lose on the spot. But it means that I have a much better chance to win if I set up Trick Room. But as the turn starts, you can see he switches to Ghold and Go, and he Terra Fairies his Meowscarada. Aqua Cutter comes out on a Passimian, right? And then Meowscarada goes for knockoff. It's a critical hit into Porygon. I live at 2%, which is crazy. And then I go for Ice Beam. Now, this play is terrible. I don't know what I was thinking. I knew Meowscarada was likely to Terra, and that it was likely to have Sash too, so I probably shouldn't double up into it. Or I probably couldn't get an Oko if it didn't Terra. And that there was only one turn left of Tailwind, so Trick Room puts me by far the best position here. But instead, I click Ice Beam, and I don't even do half. So here, he can very easily clean up with Flower Trick and Make It Rain as to not reveal Shadow Ball. And that's the game. Very unfortunate. I feel like I played pretty well throughout. I just took a lot of damage from Make It Rain, and I didn't play around his switches well enough. He was able to kind of play Goldango in a very standard, very easy way, and I didn't punish him for it enough. I have game 3 to try and climb back, but I now am kind of on the back foot. Winning game 1 gives you a lot of momentum. When you lose game 2, you definitely have a chance still. It means you have to switch up the strategy, which is why you'll see I go for more of a hard Trick Room strategy game 3. Coming to game 3, I'm thinking a lot about hard Trick Room. I think Trick Room was the way I succeeded. I tried Tailwind, and my team really needed Tailwind to be up to be good, and once Tailwind ended, it was kind of over. Outside of speed control, or outside of me having speed control at least, his team is incredibly scary because it's just a super strong team. If I can always move before him, I'm in a significantly better spot. And I felt quite dominant actually while I had speed control, but without speed control, it kind of all falls apart. So I want to go hard Trick Room. I feel like Trick Room is working for me. And the 4 I'm going to bring are actually a little unusual. I probably should bring one of either Ursaluna or Tauros just because they're very good into Ghold and Go specifically. But I instead choose to actually bring the other 4. It's not a decision I'm super proud of, but the thought process was I didn't give Focus Energy Samurott a chance to shine, and it's a great set, a very powerful set too. So I think Samurott could, once he's set up in Trick Room, he could be a really good asset here. And I want to make sure I can get up Trick Room, so I go for the Sinistcha Porygon lead, as you'll see. And then a few shenanigans happen immediately because he leads Passimian and Salamence. So he intimidates, right? And my Porygon, instead of tracing the Defiant ability of Passimian, which would be great because it means that I get the, maybe I get the attack boost. Maybe his ability activates first. I'm not exactly sure how that works. I think that probably isn't how it works, so I wouldn't get the attack boost anyways. But I copy the Intimidate, meaning I give the Passimian a free attack boost, which is terrible. Turn 1, I give him a free attack boost, and now, if you didn't know, the crit boost, or getting a critical hit gives you 1.5 damage boost, 1.5 times damage boost. It's the same as being +1. So my Sinistcha, which died at turn 1 because of a crit knockoff, will die again to a +1 knockoff, and I don't realize it. So I go for Rage Powder Trick Room. He also jokes because he's very aware of the fact that I'm going for Trick Room. And he goes for knockoff and Okos, and I don't even realize that. I'm confused actually as to how that is possible. But I just forgot that I traced Intimidate, and that's puts me in a really bad spot, honestly. Maybe it was a mistake leading Porygon, maybe it was a mistake running Trace, probably the latter. But either way, Sinistcha does go down here, meaning the Hurricane comes out and does a little bit to Porygon, but I'm able to get Trick Room up. So instead of switching into Samurott here, I actually decide to lead or send out Volbeat, because my thought process is I want to weaken his team first so that Porygon and especially Samurott is in a much better situation to sweep. So that's my goal. I click Light Screen just to help with that bulk, and I do over half of Passimian's health with a Terra Blast. But the problem is, look at this damage. I'm at 13% with no Eviolite and 22% on my Volbeat. So either of these guys goes down very easily here. And I haven't really done anything at all. I've done 36% to one of his Pokemon, but I haven't even seen two of them, and the other one's untouched. So, and his special attack is completely untouched as well. So I'm in a pretty bad spot. But thankfully, I have Porygon with a nice Ice Beam, right, which can easily kill Salamence, or I could Terra Ghost, Terra Blast, cover for a switch on the Passimian slot. Everything works out, right? Instead, I forget to Terra. I think I'm 99% sure I meant to Terra here and just forgot to do it. And so I Terra Blast into the Golden Go, which is incredibly tragic. Does no damage whatsoever. I get off a Struggle Bug, which is good, but doesn't help me in the short term because Porygon goes down, and now I'm forced to bring out. Oh, maybe I meant to click Recover instead, which also would not have been a great play. But because he switched, it would have been. If he just knockoffed into my Porygon, I think I would have lost actually, because it did 54% with Eviolite. Yeah, I would have lost on the spot if he had knockoffed again. So Recover would have also been a poor play. But I guess I must have misclicked. We can look at a previous game maybe. I think, yes, Recover and Terra Blast were right next to each other, so I must have accidentally clicked that, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. I'm now in a situation where my other play wouldn't have been great anyways. So I have two special attackers, both at -1, which is nice. But it's a 4v2, and one of my Mon is at less than a quarter of his health. So not in a great spot, but I am able to get up focus energy here, which is nice. And it protects, which makes my life a lot better. I said it is what it is both times. Struggle Bug again, hope for a Hurricane miss, but he hits. So it is now a 1v4, and no matter how good Samurott is, it doesn't matter because I'm able to kill the Golden Go. I can OHKO his entire team, right? But Draco comes out, does a quarter of my health. Not actually that much because of Light Screen and the special attack drops, but he can just switch, and I know that. Passimian comes out, close combat OHKOs, right? So I Terra Fire to live, but I die anyways. So just a horrible, horrible ending. I thought I sold game 2 because I thought I had it guaranteed if I clicked Trick Room. After a little bit more analysis, I realized that I don't actually have it locked up if I click Trick Room there. And it was probably me being a little salty after losing my pretty good lead game 1. I won with 2 Pokemon left game 1. Game 2 felt like I kind of threw it away a little bit, made some poor plays. And game 3 just felt like domination on his part. And just me making silly mistakes, like forgetting that +1 Passimian OHKOs Sinistcha, and not really like setting myself up for a 1v4, which is impossible, especially without speed control. So it wasn't my best showing week 1 by any means, but I think my team is very strong, right? I like my team a lot, and it's unfamiliar. So season 1 and season 2 to an extent, but season 1 especially, I ran an Archaludon Rain team. I had never run Archaludon in my life. I actually didn't know what he did. I knew generally Electroshot was a great move, and that he would work really well next to Pelipper. But other than that, I had no idea kind of why he was good. And so as I learned more and more about him after I drafted him, I realized kind of how good he was. I was able to make the team work. It was a little bit of a rocky start. I think I lost every other game for the first 5 weeks. So I went loss, win, loss, win, loss for the first 5 weeks of the season. But then I was able to win out the rest of the season, which was very nice. And it felt like after kind of like the rocky start to the season, trying out a bunch of things with my team and getting a little more familiar with it, that second half in postseason, I was really able to be familiar with my team and use it to its fullest. So hopefully that's kind of what happens here, where I'm running a team of Pokemon that I have not used at all, except for Shinisha and Volbeat, because they were on that Season 1 team, and Volbeat was on the Season 2 team as well. They are a little more familiar, but Ursaluna I have pretty much not touched at all. Porygon I know what makes it good in theory, but I haven't really used it. And then like these two powerful attackers, I've never touched either one of them, or any Tauros form for that matter. I also have some good Deathmons that I have not used at all. So it just feels like a team that I know has a lot of potential, but I'm not quite using it just yet. I think as I get more and more familiar with my team, hopefully I can start turning this around. Whether or not I win week 2 is another story. But I think throughout the first several weeks, I should hopefully get more and more wins under my belt. And once I get at least one win, I'll start feeling a lot more confident and a lot happier with my team. There is a part of me that feels like it's missing a little piece or missing some depth, but that's maybe just because the budget is very restrictive this season. And so it's harder to have teams that are so good or have kind of no weaknesses. So these are all Pokemon at the top of their points. We have a 20 point, a 15 point, a 15 point, a 12 point, a 12 point, a 9 point. That's the highest out of their tiers. 20 points at the top of S, 15 is top of A, 12 is top of B, 9 is top of C, right? I have Pokemon at the top of their tier, and it means that my depth is a little bit worse. So that's kind of how I've always built in drafts. But you can see it kind of biting me because he was ready for my team, and a Passimian, a little bit cheaper of a Mon, was able to counter it very well. So huge props to my opponent. Week 1, he played very well, and hopefully you guys can stick with us for week 2, where we take on Alberto and hopefully can squeak out a win. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you week 2.